Welcome to the IA on AI podcast, part of the Audit Podcast Network, where we bring you weekly updates on AI from the internal auditor's perspective. Brian, last week you were on and you're talking open weight and you're talking about training and some other maybe key terms that people who maybe aren't familiar with it need a little
Mhm.
bit more information on.
Yeah. So
And
yeah,
by last week, I mean we recorded this back to back because we are wearing the exact same things that we did.
I did laundry in between.
Yeah, yeah, it's just
Totally.
pure coincidence. So anyway, um, for those that are unfamiliar, talk to us about training and what that means, level of effort. Is that something that if someone's listening and because I know at some point we mentioned like, yeah, you just get a souped up machine that's not crazy expensive, download the model, train it, you're good to go.
Yeah.
But this isn't going to be like for individuals necessarily, right? Or is it going to be for individual organizations, or is it going to be for departments within organizations, or is it going to be we'll stick with audit. Somebody's going to have like, here's our audit open weight model for auditors to use. Like, how do you
Yeah.
see that playing out? And before you get to that, talk about training and what that entails.
Oh, well, training is that's how the models are, you basically when you hear about tokens, that's what you're doing is they're sort of one and the same. So when you train a model, it's you're tokenizing information, tokenizing the words.
Hmm.
Um, you're definitely not like it's not like unless unless there's a company out there that I'm unaware of. I don't think this is going to be a personal.
Right.
You go home and train it. There's definitely companies that allow training of open weights. And if you go into Hugging Face, which is actually just having a rough one today, I think they
Ooh,
got hacked through the OpenAI top model today.
yeah.
But um, you can read more about training models and I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh yeah, it's super easy, just go train your model." Like that's
Right.
not the case, but it is definitely going to be um more readily available, especially for companies, enterprises. Um I think everybody is looking at their AI solutions and trying to customize as much as possible. And so to your question about is this going to be for divisions and enterprise, et cetera, I think the answer is yes to all.
Mhm.
I don't think you and I at today or even a year from now will have our own models, but I think it's coming in the future, just probably not as quickly as we hope.
Yeah.
That does not mean that you should not utilize open weight models if you want to save some pesos for Taco Tuesday instead of spending it all on Opus. But um, yeah, that is essentially where we'll end up is that everybody's going to have their own model on their own PC or Mac, their own computer, and the the economics are going to work its way through the system and everything. It's just going to be like fiber. I can pay for. I got fiber running. I have two fibers running through my internet right now, and they're both insanely cheap compared to 20 years ago when it
Yeah.
was like you couldn't get it right. So it's all the same. Time is a flat circle. Flatcirclelabs.com.
Very nice.
I want to touch on this thing that I cannot get away from. It's the and it's going to dovetail into audit. It's the data that you're using your agents on.
Okay.
Um, I have my Meshly octopus here.
Hmm.
Um, Meshly, it's backwards, but they're a company that I work with Sandra and JW, the founders there. It is the validation layer for your data. It is, I think, one of the most important things in this whole AI architecture of your enterprise, because as mentioned in our prior episodes, co-work is all fun and games until you have to CSV and upload all the CSVs. And then it's just like kind of boring. It's like taking a Ferrari downtown New York and driving 20 miles an hour and stop and go traffic.
Yeah.
It's better than like riding a bike, but it's definitely not as fun as it could be. So, data. I wrote about this for Meshly actually. Um, make sure your data's at least relatively clean, structured. There's so many different data sources. So like SaaS is dead, right? We were told SaaS is dead. The workdays of the world are dying. HubSpot's dying. Salesforce is dying. They're all dying. They're all going, by the way, of the dodo. Um, I don't think that's true. As a matter of fact, I think it's actually the opposite. Now, whether or not the market agrees with me and the same time, who knows? That's neither here nor there. My point is, um, Salesforce announced they're going headless. Headless meaning the all their data is going to be available through a CLI or an API or an MCP, whatever your choice is. The user interface, maybe Trent, you like your dashboard to look a certain way, and I like mine to look a different way. Guess what? We can do that now through Codex or Claude Code or whatever. Build the dashboard of our dreams and then connect it to the source data. So for all of the people at home who think, oh yeah, I'll just take AI, slap it onto what I currently have, and solve my problems overnight, that does not work.
I think that's what I see more often than not when teams go like, "Hey, we think we're really far behind," or even the team. It's interesting. The ones that go, "I think we're like advanced or in a good spot," and it's because they will essentially do that. Like, here's our document, and we throw it in there, and we write this little prompt, and boom, it gives us something. Um, and so it sounds similar to that, where people think that like, "Oh, we have here's the data. Now we just plug this in, and we're ready to go."
Back to auditing your processes and your workflows. So what I the broken record is data first, start with your data, clean it up, figure it out. Second one is get to your analog. How do you work today? Map that out. Do a process audit. Figure out where in the process you've been doing something just cuz. And that just cuz is not a good reason to do something. And hopefully you'll figure out if I'm going to optimize this thing for I need to have the node where AI lives, which is where the logic lives, which is like the decision making, right? Don't use AI for math. I think we've all figured that out. It's not designed for that. It's language. But you don't have to have AI do everything in your workflow. Um, and so when you do this process audit, you figure out, oh, I've been doing certain, such and such for ever, and I don't remember why I started doing this, and I don't know why we do it this way, but I should definitely change that. And that's part of one of the things that I provide, flatcirclelabs.com. But the the point of that is a lot of systems that, it could be a client of yours, it could be your internal, like, I know a lot of the big 4 are going through this too. It's like we had all these things forever and ever and ever that is just tech debt that just stacked on top, because we had to get it done, and so we shoehorned it in. The way we do stuff, you can go up and down processes at companies, and you go, "Why do you do it this way?" And they go, "Well, that's how it's always been, and we don't have our systems aren't designed for this. We didn't set up this SaaS to do what we needed to do, but it had to get it done, right?" And so I think whenever people, like a lot of people that I talk to, are in this boat where they go, "We want to implement AI. We feel like we're behind," to your point. And the reason we feel like we're behind is because none of our systems actually talk to each other right now. And then when I connect to my AI, which is on its own, it doesn't talk to any of those systems. And so all I'm doing is chatting with it for funsies and doing CSV uploads, which back, to bring this full circle, it's like if you're using Claude and Codex and you're uploading CSVs, you're driving with with your handbrake on.
So if there was a takeaway, and this like blew my mind. I think it was about a year ago, roughly a year ago, less than a year. There was a big team, and I've probably talked about this before, and I'm sure I have. But there's this a big organization, like billions and billions and billions and billions, and they cut their entire data governance team.
Mm, yeah,
And I thought that was the strangest move. Like I knew someone that was
yeah,
on the team, and they were telling me about it, and I just went, "This is what I would have expected the opposite, if anything, at least in the short term." Um,
yeah,
and like we tell people all the time that if like because people always ask like, "Can are we allowed to do this or this or this with AI?" And I go, "I can't tell you what your organization's AI governance procedures, policies, procedures, all that stuff is, but go look at that. And if you don't see it in there, consider talking to someone about it. And then if you don't have one, I would immediately write up an audit finding of we don't have an AI governance approach. Similar with data governance to a degree. We tell people like if you're going through and you're auditing whatever, you get your population, it's bad. You're looking at a report, it's bad. especially if that report is something that management's using to make a decision on, that means they're obviously not making an accurate decision. I would immediately go, here's our data governance memo. You got to get this fixed. And so I think it's based on where we sit today and what the future likely is going to look like. That's going to be more critical than ever. Um, so I would start hounding people relative to data governance around the stuff that really matters.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that a lot of people will use AI to fix their data pulls that they run? Like, that's how they're using it. Instead of me downloading the Excel and then doing all my VLOOKUPs or XLOOKUP, by the way, always use XLOOKUP, doing all my XLOOKUPs and then copy paste, like doing all that, they're just, oh, I'll have cowork do that. And you're like, why don't you just fix upstream? Just instead of doing all that, why do you have to do that? That's what I'm saying
That's what
is
we had somebody ask that the other day. Hey, it's empty, like these fields are blank. Would you use AI to fill it in? And I went, yeah, I mean, you could, but I would go back and just tell, whoever's doing it, relative to data governance, that there's a problem there.
how many of your clients, I'm gonna interview you now. How many of your clients have ever used the term harness? The
Literally none.
harness.
I
Literally
don't think
none.
any.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Nobody that you talk to has been like, "Yeah, our harness dot dot dot." Okay.
no,
Have you ever heard that term? Doesn't sound
no.
like it.
I've heard of like
So
harness the power.
yeah, right. No, the harness has a very broad term, but essentially what the harness in if we're speaking in the context of AI, harness is everything that's not like that's attached to the LLM. So it's
Yeah.
like harness plus LLM equals AI. And that harness is is Claude Code, it's Codex, it's the guardrails, but it's also your, security around your data. Like
Hmm.
harness is broad,
Yeah. Yeah.
but if you're having discussions with your CTO or your security team and they're not thinking about how do we how can we, like talk about access. How do we give access to AI within our infrastructure? What is it gonna have the ability to talk to? The most scary thing I heard was yesterday, and I mentioned in our other episodes how Shopify built out River, which is their own Slack bot. The one of the product people, Anthropic Thark, I think I said that right. He goes because they just released I think it's Tabs. Don't quote me. There's the Claude Slack integration product. I think it's Tabs. And he goes, I would not recommend anybody vibe code a Slack bot because imagine the prompt injecting you could have within that. And I just was like, wow, I never thought about it that way. And I wonder how Shopify is built on by developers. So I'm sure they figured that one out. But if you yeah, like, but just I know for a fact, I was really scared. Being the compliance dude, break hard, go fast, right? The first thing I always think about is like, okay, where could this go wrong? And I had my fears quelled by an extremely intelligent person who said you should not worry about prompt injecting with the frontier models because they are so robust that they have basically figured out how to navigate all that if you're using. So fear not on just like that kind of stuff, but um, it's definitely something to think about. The harness. Yeah, well, Flat Circle Labs is the new umbrella banner logo that I operate under. It's a nod to my dog Rusty, named Rust after the character Matthew McConaughey's character in True Detective. So if you're a True
Okay.
Detective fan, you would know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And essentially, it's AI enablement. It's forward deployed operator. It is building agents. It's um, process audits, which I think is like the only place you could start when you start building agents. So
Hmm.
all those services and yeah, it's the new me. So Flat Circle Labs, check it out, flatcirclelabs.com.
Thank you for listening, and be sure to follow the link to greenskiesanalytics.com in the show notes and schedule time to see how Green Skies can make the hype of AI a reality in your internal audit department.
No point where it's like, oh my gosh, Brian's a dumbass. You should have said that, but
Yeah.
you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just my
I would
opinion.
love to see Brian as a dumbass in the um
Brian is a dumbass. You should lead with that as your as your feed in.
Perfect. Brian
Don't
is a
forget
dumbass.
Flat Circle. Brian's a dumbass. Come connect with him at flatcirclelabs.com. Brian at flatcirclelabs.com.